Hey guys, welcome back to our weekly market forecast. This is an IFX right here, the prophetic analyst. So this is our usual weekly market forecast for the 4th to the 8th of August, which is also the first week of the month of August. So happy new month, guys, and it's nice. July was awesome for us. It was an awesome trading month. We had 2 to 3 weeks winning streak. Last week we took some few losses and some few trades in which we took, but regardless, we ended the week in profit. Okay, so moving forward for gold, so this is the weekly time frame, so it's very important to go to the monthly time frame. Okay, so since this is a new month and the previous month candle had closed, it's very important we go to the new month and the previous month to see how the previous month actually closed. Okay, so looking at the previous month, if we hover around here, we see that's the monthly candle of July, which is more like a hammer kind of candle, which actually shows reversals. Okay, and also you can see we have some sort of ranges for the past few days on for the past few months, which started since May. So we have been having ranges since May till date. Okay, so let's go over to our daily and our 4-hour time frame to see how price actually looks. So here on the daily, if you guys remember from last week, okay, here on the daily for last week, we spoke about these areas of interest in which price has been reacting off. Okay, we have more than a triple top, a quadruple top, actually 4 times of price reacting there, and we can also see how price closed for last month of July with a reversal candlestick. So remember last week I spoke about this AOIs, these daily AOIs, like you guys can see clearly being marked out there. So what I'm just gonna do is just more like extend this like so. Okay, extend them and get them ready for the new trading month, as you guys can see. So I just extend them like so and get them ready for the new trading month. So price, we had some few bearish days. Okay, we had some bearish days just like we wanted, and we had price on NFP price pulling back. To me, I'm seeing this pullbacks as a fake out. So why is this so? Looking at how price also closed, we have this trend line coming all the way from the downside, and looking left, you can also see price is currently on this area of interest, this daily AOI, in which price has reacted to over time. Okay, so let's go to our 4-hour time frames to see how well we can make sense out of this. So for me, on the 4-hour time frame, I would just take it as price is most likely going to react off this trend line, okay, or react based off these areas of interest. Okay, looking left, so hopefully that trend line is going to hold. We may have some daily candle range or some hourly candle range, maybe some ranges around the zones before we most likely see price drop. Okay, so for me, I would be seeing maybe a little push into that trend line, and we see a drop to our first zones, which is our 3302 ounce, okay, to the downside, and we could now see price clearly going to the 33246 to the downsides. Okay, so this is a more high risk kind of trading from here, but if you need a more conservative entry, okay, a more conservative entry is waiting for price to clear these lows, okay, of the 3306, okay, give you a break, a retest on that zones, and a push continuations to the downsides. Okay, so that will be it on XAUSD. Up next is GBpUSD
and Deriv NFP. And also, if you look at this deeper, you see that this is a very clear chart pattern. Okay, this looks like a very nice head and shoulder for us. Okay, you can see the left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder, and this makes it the neckline. Okay, the 1.34323 makes it the neckline. So if price breaks this level, we should be seeing our next level target as 1.31692, and we can even go as deep as 1.30390.
So for just like you guys can see, for last week we predicted a very massive drop on GBpUSD, over 300 pips if I'm not mistaken, drops to the downsides, which I can also confirm a lot of you made money from it. You can see the over 300 pips drop on GBpUSD, and also this was clearly our thumbnail in which we used for last week for price to give us the sales continuations. Why was I saying so? You can also clearly see that chart pattern right about here, in which I spoke of that left shoulder, the head, and a right shoulder. So for those that are my mentees or follow me for the longest of time, you know I'm very big on chart pattern. So you can see how well this chart pattern was able to hold super strongly to the downsides. Okay, so this is why when I see my chart patterns, I don't play with them. So what does this clearly means? That we are most likely ready for a bearish ride. Though price gave us that chart pattern and came into these zones, you can also see here just stated the 1.31692 zones for price to come to this area. Like you guys know, price moves in a waveform, and price also moves from zone to zone. So it will only make sense for price to come to the next zone or the nearest green zones and start reversing. Okay, so what are we expecting for next week? Okay, let's go to our 4-hour time frame to see how we can make the best out of this. Okay, so here on the 4-hour time frame, I would be looking for more bullishness. Okay, maybe a buy to sell scenario, guys. Buy to sell scenario. Price to come in between these two zones, the zone of the 1.3433, okay, and the zone of the 1.3379. okay, between these two zones, then we could have the bearish continuation. So let's look at the daily time frame again to see where those zones actually are. Okay, so looking at the daily time frame, all right, those zones looks cool. All right, it's a super cool zone. So these trades are still very much valid. Okay, so we could have initial pullbacks to these zones, then we can have the actual bearish continuations to the downside. So why is this so? Remember, we are on new month time frame. Okay, so it always makes sense. Really important to also look from a higher time frames to see how price, right, how price is actually reacting from the higher time frame. So looking at how last month, the month of July, also closed, you can see how July's candle was massively bearish to the downsides. And if you look here on the left hand side, you see that we have a lot of imbalance for price to fill. Okay, so this is how price actually moves. Okay, price, just like we can see, price has been moving series of highs, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. So we most likely have a new higher low before we could have that bullish continuation. So that's what most likely what we are having for price. But if price shows us otherwise, using our different trading strategies, entries and exits, we most likely know how to react from price and trade accordingly. Okay, so that's it for GBP USD. Up next is Euro USD,
which I'm going to mark out very easy. Okay, I'm going to mark out the zones. Let's keep it this way, and let's keep it this way, like so. Okay, so we have these upper zones of the 1.176 and these lower zones of the 1.169. You can go bearish. If price goes bearish, you go break the test on the 1.169 and push continuations to our next zones. Like you know, we trade from zones to zones. Okay, from one zone to the other. Let me take this out. Okay, from one zone to the other. So first zone is a 1.163. Then we can go as deep as a 1.15722.
Welcome back. So you can see Euro USD, how we predicted Euro USD into precision. For last week also, we also had this massive bearish drop on Euro USD, just from the same zones in which we were looking over, I think over 300 pips, another 300 pips plus drop. Okay, over 355 pips drop to the downside. So we had bearishness and we also had bullishness. So just like we trade, you guys know I trade pure price action and I like trading up zone. So looking left, we can see price reacting off these areas of interest. Okay, so it's most likely price could also reverse from this point, which is also an area of interest, before going all over to the downsides. Okay, so let's check how the monthly time frame actually closed, because it's very important to check how the previous month's candle actually closed. And why am I keen about this? Because most of the big moves that we always have, if you look at where those turnarounds actually happens, they are actually on a new month, every new month, most likely the face or the face week. Okay, you can see this area here that we are having this turnaround. Let me circle there. Okay, you can see that doji candle in between there. If you look down here, you see that was the 1st of January 2025. Okay, so most of those times are price turns. You can see this other zone again, that's the 2nd. Okay, so that's always most likely the first week of each month, or most of the months. Price most likely always change their trend. So you see this one was the 2nd of September 2024. Since then, price started selling. This is the 1st of January 2025, which was the 1st of this year. So you can see since this year started, price has been bullish. Okay, price started buying. So most likely same thing that we are going to have. So we see this is 1st of July, okay, which was last month, July. Price started selling from that area. Okay, we had this bearish and moving candles to the downside. So let's go to our daily and our hourly time frame to see how well we can make sense out of this. Okay, so I'll just keep it at the daily time frame to have a cleaner chart or cleaner price action. So looking left, just like I said, we had price break retest on that trend line. So we now have price most likely would be reacting over that areas of interest, just like we can see. Okay, so what are we going to do? We'll be looking for, we'll most likely be having sells from these zones. Okay, from the zone of the 1.16262 to the first zones of a 1.13952. Then we can go even deeper to these zones of the 1.1253. Okay, remember we normally trade from zones to zone, so from one zone to the other. Okay, but if price shows otherwise, we are going to employ our other trading strategies to take these trades. Okay, so that's it for Euro USD. Up next is BTC USD. Okay, for the longest of time, price has been super bearish. Okay, our price has been ranging since July. So I think the whole of July has been ranging before we had that drop at the last week of July. So let's also look at the monthly time frame, how we closed on July. So you can see how price closed with this doji candle on July, super bearish candle there, right about there on July. So most likely we could have more deep, okay, on BTC, even as low as 90 something K, maybe 90K or 95K thereabouts. But let's see how we can make more sense out of this. So let's check the daily time frame to see where price is. So looking at here, so on Friday price was somewhere around here, okay, or Wednesday thereabouts. So we had more bearishness, price started selling, breaking down zones. Okay, remember, for those of you that join our free weekly market forecast, in which we normally hold during the week, I showed you guys this trade which we're looking for, this clean break and retest. Okay, you guys can see that arrow right about there. Okay, it's still very much there. This was our first level target and our second level target. Price was almost there on our first level target, then we are still heading all the way to our second level target. So it's still no difference from what we did last week. Okay, so we'll be looking for more like, remember BTC still trades during the weekend, so we are still very much active. So price will give us more like a buy back to this trend line, guys. Remember this trend line coming all the way from the downsides. Okay, buy to sell scenarios. Okay, buy price to buy back to 116K thereabout, these zones, the yellow box, the yellow zone. Then we should be having a massive drop to 110K, and price could go as deep as 106K. Okay, so I will be highly anticipating this trade. This could be part of my A kind of setups for next week. Okay, so make sure you mark out these trades for yourself on your PC or your trading device. Okay, up next is DXY. So for DXY was awesome. DXY was also part of the reason. DXY and GDP USD were part of the reasons I was predicting and seeing these reversals from last week, in which, if you guys can remember, just like you guys can see, I spoke about the sales or the drop on DXY, or the price turning around on DXY and giving us most likely a bullishness. Okay, price giving us most likely a bullishness on DXY right about from here. So if you are you think we are lying or you think we are capping, here is the
I will be most likely favoring the downside of things. And also, if you look at the DXY, you also see some sort of inverse head and shoulders too forming on the DXY. Okay, though it has not finished forming right about now. Okay, it has not finished forming yet. Okay, if you also look at the DXY, I forgot to mention that you can also see, it seems like price is doing something like a head and shoulder. So you can see left head, right shoulder. Okay, but we'll keep that in review until after NFP or during the week. If anything changes, we'll let you guys know. So for the bullishness, we should be seeing price. We have to be patient for price to break here, retest, and push continuation to a 99.837. Okay, right about there. Okay, so that would be our next level target for the bullishness and bearishness of things on the DXY.
All right, so welcome back. So you can see how we predicted DXY into precision. So this is why I love correlations, guys. Okay, so with the help of the DXY, I was able to decipher several other trades, over 8 different trades, just for you guys to make money from it, which I am very happy. A lot of you guys that did not have a good month were able to use the last trading week of the month to make a lot of money for yourself through our trade calls and also our projections and our YouTube videos. So keep doing the work, keep smashing that like button, keep dropping some good comments, some great comments there on the comment section, and sharing our content. Okay, so moving forward for the DXY, you can see how we analyze this into precision. We want a price to most likely, since I told you guys we are looking at something that looks like a potential head and shoulder, which I also did this same thing last week. I marked it out. We had a left head and a right shoulder, most a potential right shoulder. Like I said, it's not yet certain until price opens. Okay, so we can see price clearly opened here on Monday with this massive bullish engulfing candle. So this gave us a nice head start for the week that we are having a bullish week. Then based off market structure, we could also understand that price moves in a wave. So if you are a mentee, you understand what we are saying, that each time price breaks a structure or a chart pattern, we most likely have what? Price coming back to confirm that neckline before we have the actual trend. Okay, so this is price, this single bearishness that you guys are seeing is looking left, price coming back to confirm this zone as a strong area of interest before we could have a more bullish continuations to the upsides. And if these bullish continuations continue to the upsides, then we would be looking for the opposite to happen on inversely correlated pace, and the same thing to happen on directly correlated pace. Okay, so for the DXY, for without taking, okay, let's check the monthly time frame too to see how what the DXY looks. So for last month DXY, remember last month, this is the current candle, this is this month, we just started I think only on Friday, so this is the only Friday candle. This does not hold water, guys. Okay, so that's all last month's candle. Last month's candle is the previous month, which is this green candle that you're seeing there. If you look down here, you see that's 1st of July. So every candle here on the monthly time frame, it takes 1 full month for that candle to open, and it takes 30 days to 31 days for that candle to open and close. Okay, it takes a full month for every candle you see here, no matter how big or how small. Like this one, no matter how small, on January it took 1 full month for that candle to open and close. Okay, so if you are seeing this bullishness here, or sorry, this bearishness here, this is just 1 day candle, which was just Friday, which was the NFP in which we had, which I am seeing it most likely like a pullback. Okay, so this is not, this is just the current month, which the month just opened, the month has not closed, so you cannot determine price movement from just this candle on the monthly scale. Okay, so the candle we are using for determination is this previous candle, which is the July's candle. Okay, so this is a good head start for us. Last month also clearly closed bullish on the monthly time frame. So we go to our daily time frame. So for me, what I'm most likely looking for is, I'm going to adjust these guys a little bit. Remember, we also predicted price to go to these zones into precisions, and they did. Okay, so nothing really different from what we did last week. So we'll be looking for price to react most likely from this phase zone of the 98.149, and we're seeing price go back to 100% retracement level which is around our 99.932. all right, or we can take 99.932 thereabouts. Then we can go even higher. Okay, if price wishes to wick to the downside, this zone, this area too, is a very good area, our 97.612. okay, this little line we have there is a very good area for price to wick into that area before we could have bullish continuations. If price clears these two zones, then we'll most likely have a total turnaround on the trend. Okay, and we know how to follow suit to take these trade signals. Okay, this is what you benefit to getting from us if you are trading with the prophetic analyst. Our batches and slots, we have few slots left for our August mentorship, which is going to start next week on the 11th. okay, it's starting next week on the 11th, so we just have few slots left, and this is the opportunity for you to be able to join us and trade like the prophetic analyst himself, and also be able for me to hold you by the hand and show you how to do these things all by yourself. Okay, it's one thing to take signals, it's one thing to want to trade, another thing for you to be able to do these things to replicate same results. Okay, so that is why I'm here to helping you guys to achieving that. So that's it for the DXY. The last but not the least, we have Usdjpy.
Zones like so. Okay, these two zones, we are only interested in trading between these two zones. So for the bullish side, which is what I'm anticipating, price will break, retest here, then we should be targeting our next level. So looking left, our next resistance is somewhere around here, which is the 151. Okay,
so for Gbpusd for last week, okay, just like you guys can see. All right, let's go to the hourly time frame for last week. I clearly mentioned, let me shift this to this side because this was a great trade already. I clearly mentioned these zones. For those of you, I think we held a free live session on Tuesday or Monday thereabouts. Okay, I clearly saw these zones and I had to call you guys attention. I think on Monday thereabouts, I held a free live session on YouTube, here on YouTube, and also on the Telegram community. So if you're not on the Telegram community, click on the link on the description to join our Telegram community. So when I saw price pushing to the upsides, I told you guys that price will most likely come back to this 100% retracement level, these zones looking left, before we have these deep pullbacks and we could have that continuation. That is also the same reason why I had to mark out these zones you guys are seeing there. Okay, looking for price to come into that area before we could continue buying to the upsides. Okay, I also included the before and the after somewhere in this video for you guys to also watch and learn, and you can see how price came into that zones for us and price immediately dropped during NFP. Okay, so most likely we could have price. For me, this is still very much, this is another zones. Okay, this is another good zones. I think I'll take this out and I'll take this out too. All right, so this is another good zones for price to react off here, but that possibility is quite slim. Okay, then we could see price go back to this area, first level target, then we could see price go even further to the upsides, but we could also have price go as deep as coming back to this resistance again, looking left. Okay, we could see price coming back to this resistance again. Okay, so if price does that, we see price come here before that bullish continuations to the upsides. Okay, so that'll be it for this week, guys. Always remember to trade your plans and plan your trade. Just like I said, we are taking the last set of batch of mentorship, and the slots, we have just few slots left. So if you're interested to trading like myself and to be able to replicate same results, you do well to learn from myself and avail yourself for our August mentorship, in which is going to start on the 11th of July. Okay, so that'll be it this week. Always remember to plan your trades and trade your plans, and do well to drop some comment on the comment section. Let's know the kind of videos you love us to make, and let's know how well our analysis has been able to help you on your trading so far.